Don't be married to the destination. Be dedicated to the journey and the walk to the destination. Boom. We turned down just a little bit. Just a little bit. We're good there. We are here. We are here. We are here. If you're listening, rate, share, subscribe. Karate chop. If you're listening, you can also watch on YouTube, Big Mood TV. All of our podcasts are up for audio and video. How's life going? Look at Athena. Hi, Teen. Hi. Don't come over here. No, don't come over here. Okay, she's coming. I messed up. But we're here another week. I'm gonna start off. She's gonna sit next to me and tap dance her whole. Okay, hold on. Let me wait for her to stop tap dancing. Jeez Louise. Matt, you can take the tap dancing out, right?
Keep it in.
You keep it in? Okay, we'll keep the tap dancing in. But if you knew me, if you really knew me, you would know that I've tried to commit suicide in my life. If you really knew me, you would know that I've dealt with depression, bipolar disorder, and sex addiction and heroin addiction my entire life. If you really knew me, you would know that I was born that way. You would know that I had a very traumatic childhood. You would know racism plays a big part of that. You would know that sexual trauma plays a big part of that. If you knew me, you would know that I was violent in my past. If you knew me, you would know that I struggle understanding if this is really who I am or not. If you really knew me, you would know that I just want to be liked. I just want friends. Start the podcast off there. So we did that exercise yesterday. So that's not mine. Shout out to ALA San Diego. I'm not going to cop their shit. But we did that exercise yesterday. And by me doing that, by each of us doing that in a group, we were able to see, first of all, we were able to just like let the bullshit down, right? Let the bullshit fucking, with the clothes and the this and the that, all the things that make us, all the masks that we wear, take the masks off, and just be people. Just be people who have experienced many of the same challenges. Dina's back there getting into something. Many of the same challenges. And that's what I heard the other night, was that many people struggle with the things that I've struggled with on a scale. Not everybody was a heroin addict out in this bitch, But we all struggle. And the point of this podcast, so you know what I've been spending more time on sober Instagram. There's like a sober Instagram. And it's pretty corny, man. It's pretty corny. It's like people look at you like crazy when you say you don't want to drink. It's like, well, I've been so insulated to like sober life. That I don't know. And I don't know. I'm about to judge the shit out of this community. Oh, well, it's just corny, man. It's just corny. But this podcast it is not a sobriety fucking podcast. Another friend of mine hit me up. She was like, I think I should just do I think I should just do a sobriety podcast. Like, just talk about, spiritual growth. And I was like, oh, yeah, word. Another one. It's like, Jesus Christ. Do we need any more? Do we even need mine? Fuck. So it's like, so what are the podcast archetypes So there's recovery podcasts, right? It's like, telling recovery stories, which we have done a little bit of. That's what I like about ours. We've done a little bit of that, but that's not it. So there's like the recovery story podcast, and there's like the women in recovery podcast, and like the women's podcast, women's empowerment podcast. And then there's like the men's discipline podcast, those kind of podcasts. 75 hard. 75 hard. I'm doing 75 hard right now. Gotta work out 2 times a day. Got my jug of water. It's like, fucking jeez. You bozo. But yeah, then there's the tough guy, like, man podcast. Then there's the motivational, like, empowerment podcast, like be your authentic self, be true to you, and you can envision and grasp any task. You know what I'm talking about? There's that too. I think mine's all balled up in kind of one. I'm kind of like a journal. Yeah, it's kind of like a journal. We've had recovery stories on here. We've had some dope ass stories. We've had some of the coolest stories I've ever heard told in this podcast. And we've had like successful entrepreneurs on here. We've had Benny and Jesse on here. We've had Dylan. We kind of do it all. But ultimately, the reason I started the podcast with that exercise is because by me, what this podcast does is it allows me to be open and to give you permission to be open. It grants other people permission. For me, none of that stuff I said to you folks was hard to say. None of that stuff was hard to say because it's stuff that I think about and work through all the time. But for the people who that is hard to say, for the people where that is hard for them to say, they're like, oh shit, him too. Oh shit, me too. I feel that too, and that's what it's all about. If you're on a microphone speaking on a stage, give everybody permission and tell the truth. Tell the truth. That's it. Just tell the truth. Yeah, man, just tell the truth. But yeah, life has been going well. We're going to talk about ways of being. Maybe we talked about that last week, but we're going to talk about this week because it's been very, very prevalent in my life right now. So from the beginning of the year until June, we blasted off into a different hemisphere business-wise. We saw what was possible with Big Mood. We saw what's possible. And I'm very proud to say that I have a business that's raising capital, going into, real estate acquisition. We're going into some big, cool territory. We're doing some work with the city. Doing some cool shit, man. Matt knew me when I just wanted to be a personal trainer. I just want to help you get fit. You don't like your body? You'll like your body after this. And that's message. Don't be married to your vision. Don't be married to like the destination. Be married to the journey along the way of your purpose. Because I've said this before. 2017, I just wanted to be a personal trainer with a full schedule. That's it. That's all I wanted to be. To be a personal trainer with a full schedule. And I did that. I became a person. You might have saw dandruff fly out. It's embarrassing. But I wanted to be a personal trainer with a full schedule. And that was it. That was the extent of my dreams. And I got that. Then I wanted to be an online coach so I could travel and move around. I was living in 2 cities, which I don't know, that was doomed from the beginning, but living in 2 cities. And I wanted to be an online coach, and I was an online coach. then I wanted to get into lifestyle and mindset, and I got into lifestyle and mindset. And all along, I'm just pivoting. Same thing with the podcast. The podcast used to be Hearts and Minds Collective. That was the podcast 3 years ago. Hearts and Minds Collective. That was it. And it was a health and wellness podcast. That's what it was. Health and wellness podcast. And then we wanted to do more episodes. So we brought my friends on. It was me, Benny, Jess was here. Jess was in it. Bathing in Nachos was one of our first episodes up on YouTube. Such a far cry from it. If you ever have a chance, go back and listen to Bathing with Nachos and think of how different the podcast is. So crazy. But Jess was in it, and Benny, and then Jess left, and then Travis came in, and Travis was in it, and then Travis left, and we were in Benny's house, and we were taking weeks off. And then we went, where we fucked up is we took like 8 weeks off of the podcast. We came back. We did that for a year. Anyway, moral story, we've been doing this for like 2.5 years. And now this is the podcast. Now this is it. So don't be married. Don't be married to the destination. Be dedicated to the journey and the walk to the destination. Be dedicated to doing the next indicated step. Who knows where this podcast goes? Who knows we start bringing on guests every week only? Who knows? We may, I don't know. Who knows where it goes? I don't ever have a dead set plan on like what this is going to be. A friend of mine asked me before the podcast, she was like, what's the podcast going to be about? I said, I have 3 lines written down. So I'm sure something will happen. And it always does, whether it's 20 minutes or 45 minutes. Something always happens, whether it's me just being really sad, or it's me being really stoked or motivational, or telling us a crazy ass story or whatever. Something always happens. So don't be married to the outcome. Just enjoy the process. Continue to grow through it. That tea is making my mouth water like I'm gonna puke. Let me let that bitch breathe. The joy of a Topo Chico? You can open a Topo Chico a week ago and come back and sip, and that shit's still bubbly. How do they do that? What chemicals do that? But yeah, man. Don't be married to where you end up. And back to my career, we saw what Big Mood was capable of this first half of the year, and it was fucking cool, man. It was cool. We had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of freedom, have a lot of freedom still. And it was amazing to watch. But I had, for me, so here's an interesting perspective. For me, I equate my success with my busyness. I equate my success, like, you know what I mean? I equate my success with, I'm just everywhere at one time. That means I'm successful. Meanwhile, what's happening inside of me is I'm burning out. I'm not meditating. I'm not working out. I'm not focusing on any other outcomes. I'm not really checking emails. I'm just working. I'm just busy. And for the month of July, God told me, sit the fuck down. We believe in God on this podcast, and not your white Jesus, sir. Whatever God looks like, whatever God you choose to fucking pray to, that's what we're talking about. But I say God because some universal higher energy stops and starts my life. It's not stops and starts it, but dictates how my life goes. I believe my life is predetermined pretty much. It's just me taking steps, and what's going to happen is what's going to happen. And my job is to just show up as the best version of me. And we're going to get into that in a second. But, so let me just give a little context. That week I did the Sad Boy podcast. I had a crash and burn. And something that people should still know about me is that I still struggle with depression in certain forms. And I still get suicidal sometimes. I love to say that I'm some guru and that like I do this podcast because I have it all figured out. Nah, dog. I don't got it all figured out. I'm just 31, just trying to figure it out just like everybody else. You know, and I crashed and burned and wanted to die. And it wasn't just one day, it was a week, 2 weeks of just emotional hangover. I was struggling. And then business slowed down. But business didn't slow down because of lack of effort. Business didn't slow down because I did something wrong. It just slowed down because that's the season, you know. But I was in panic mode. And about 2 weeks into that month, I got to shift. And I got to realize, okay, so if this is where we are, let's just be content right where we are. Because this is a callback, and this just shows you how consistent and authentic I've been over my time in any public, being public about anything goes on with me. Contentment without contingencies. Do you remember that one? Or is that before your time? Contentment without contingencies. So if I strip away your college degree, I strip away your job, I strip away your shoes, I strip away all your things that you wrap your identity in, are you still happy? That's the question. And I think most people would struggle to answer that question. What do you think, Matt? Personally. Yeah. You would be happy? And you seem like that kind of fella. You seem like that kind of guy. You don't need much. There you go. Beautiful. And I think culturally we're shifting to that place as well. I hope so. But for me, I was so broke for so long that I had to find contentment in being myself and being okay and, just being. So for the last 2 weeks after my breakdown, I've gotten to just be. Ooh, that break. Fire. Just be. I've gotten to just be with myself, be with my friends, and most importantly, not just be with them, but who am I being? I'm being a supportive member of my community. So, okay, so I'm not on flights. I'm not fucking, I'm still on the phone hustling and bustling, but I'm not like doing the on flights fucking city to city thing. I'm not doing that right now, but you know what I am doing? I got sponsees in my house. I'm reading the book. I'm going to a meeting. I go to a meeting 7 days a week. I'm a proud member of 12-step program. I am working a program myself. I'm being of service to lots of young kids out there. Being of service. I get to help others today. I got a FaceTime with a 13-year-old kid right after this. Check up on him. Just be. Who do you get to show up as when you strip all the lights and the fucking bullshit away? Who do you show up as? And that's the real question. And many of us won't be tested with that. People will just have the creature comforts all the time, which I still have all my creature comforts, but I didn't have my self-importance to wrap my identity in. Does that make sense, Matt? I didn't have all this ego to wrap myself in. So I was just, being of service on the phone, being supportive to my clients, being supportive to my friends, participating in my life, being supportive to my son. Over this last month, I have had some amazing experiences with my son. Amazing experiences with my kid. You know, and that's the stuff, I get to do that. And then we'll come very soon. I'm getting on a flight next Saturday. So we'll be back to moving. We'll be back to shaking. We'll be back there. And just don't let the self-importance creep in. Don't let that ego creep in. Don't let that who you think you are creep in. But I've gotten to just be. It's the art of being too, because I'm squirrely. I sit down when all the work is done. I sit down at my desk and I'm like, what the fuck do I do next? Just do nothing, bro. Just sit the fuck still. And who do you show up as? So I've taken more service commitments. Worked on the work that we're doing with the city. Worked on that project. Really ironing that out. And seeing how we could support more families. We're doing some cool stuff, man. All coming out of being. Let's tie it back to fitness, a throwback. Since I don't have Benny and Jesse to do fitness challenges with, I'm getting fit again. I'm lifting 5 days a week. Making things happen. Man, life is good. Can't complain. How we doing on time? 20? Man, we're goddamn professionals. We are goddamn professionals, Johnny. Who's Johnny? I don't know. But so we're gonna spend the last 10 minutes talking about one sentence only. And I quoted this. Oh, the song is a gem. I quoted this the other day. This is my quote. So if you want to steal it, you can. Taking responsibility was the most spiritual step I ever took. So if you're familiar with 12-step, step 1, powerlessness. 2, came to believe that a God will restore you to sanity. Any God, doesn't matter where God. Came to believe. You just started to believe, okay, if I am fucking shit, I am fucking wrecked. I am shit wrecked. Like, my life is trash. And I understand that I'm powerless over XYZ, food, sex, people, heroin, whatever your drug of choice is, whatever your thing is, powerless over XYZ. So you admit you're powerless. You come to believe that something can restore you to sanity, something that is not yourself. And then you turn your will and your life over to this thing that you came to believe in, which is very, in 12-step, we talk about it and like, we'll do a meeting on step 3. And then it's like, I turned my life over to the care of God as I understood it. No, you didn't. That doesn't happen in one day. You know what I mean? That doesn't happen in one day. You made a decision. You made a decision that that's what you're working towards. But but that's not the. Ooh, it's okay, baby. That's my 8-year-old pit bull just growling around. We could leave that in. But the most spiritual thing that I do on a day-to-day basis, and it started when I did a step 4 and a step 5. Step 4, I took an inventory of my life. And I went back petty. I went back petty to John Nestor for stopping being my friend in kindergarten, and Kendra Burke for not liking me back, and shout out to all these people, probably married, have kids and shit, right? It's like 30 years ago. But like, I went back and I went petty, right? I went back and like all these people who I felt harmed me, and I wrote all this down. And this is why I don't have a lot of malice towards a lot of people. This is the reason for that. I wrote all that down. And as I wrote these 3 columns of like who this person is, what the fuck they did to me, what part of my life it hurt, and then the last column was the most profound thing I've done, was I wrote what my part in that was. What role did I play in these I had pages upon, I still have them, pages upon pages upon pages of people who I was mad at. Even, my sponsor was like, even if you gotta like rack your, I almost made stuff up it didn't make anything up, but it was like, this is so petty that I don't even I have to like reach for this. But I got so petty, it was like wringing out a sponge. It was like all the people who you felt hurt, you wring it out, and I had to find my part in it. And then I told this woman my whole life story. And from my life story through this lens, she told me, Eric, this is where you're selfish. This is where you're self-centered. This is where your pride took over. This is where you were a victim. Played a victim. And I just took responsibility. She had me take responsibility for myself. It's clickety, clackety, clickety. Don't go over there. She made me take. She didn't make me. She gave me the opportunity for me to take responsibility for myself. And I put all that out there. In 6 and 7, I got into my character defects. Okay, finally, she's on the pad. I got to look at my character defects. Okay, cool. So did this long step 4. Did this step 5 where I spilled my guts out. Okay, now 6 and 7. Now I know what's wrong with me. Now I know the things that are causing me to get in all these skirmishes throughout my life. Oh, now she's coming to you. You looked at her, bro. You looked at her. It's okay. The clickety clacks could stay. But yeah. So I saw all these things that were causing all these skirmishes in my life, and then 8 and 9 made a list of all the people I harmed, and became willing to make amends to them all. And then step 9 made direct amends, wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. And I made amends to everybody, dude. I can't think of one person in my life right now, besides my parents, who I'll always be making amends to, but I can't think of anybody in my life that I haven't already made amends to, that I harmed. Every person in my life that I've done wrong, I have tried to reach out and took responsibility for myself. So the reason I say that's the most spiritual step I ever took is that because Matt came in, I was meta-napping. I meditated and fell into slumber. But when I put my head on the pillow, when I meditate, and when I put my head on the pillow when I go to bed, I don't go to bed with a guilty conscience. I don't go to bed saying, I shouldn't have said that, I shouldn't have done that. No, what I do. I don't go to bed like that. I go to bed with a peace over me because I've cleaned up everything in my life. And before I did that, when I would close my eyes, it's like I had crows flying all around me. Like I would close my eyes and it was just the birds flapping, the squirrels squirming, the fucking everything's happening. It's just chaos. And now when I close my eyes, there's peace. And that all came from taking that responsibility for myself. I don't blame anybody else for the circumstances that I'm in. I am the common denominator in my life, and I've been a victim in many cases, actually victimized. With race stuff, with sex stuff, I've been actually victimized. But I don't play a victim anymore. I take ownership of my healing. So you may have been a victim, but the personal responsibility is in how you react to your trauma. That motorcycle's so cool. You want to go see what it looks like? I just saw a meme, but I'll show you after. There's plenty of times where we are victims. There's plenty of times where we have been victimized by men, by women, by a number of people. We have been harmed. But where we can take responsibility is in the healing and in what we do in response to those experiences. And that's a spiritual step. That's, if you want to levitate on bitches, we've talked about this before. I'm trying to fucking float, dog. I'm trying to float. That means I own my life. That means my life is mine. My life is mine. My future is up to me. The world, the shift I want to make in the world is up to me. No one's coming to save me. No one's coming to save you. You are going to save you. I'm 31 now. The women, there's women who are like, man, this guy's going to be the one. He's the meal ticket. No, ma'am. No one is coming to save you, young lady. No one is coming to save you. Got my own babies to feed. But yeah, how we doing on time? 32. I think we're gonna keep them at 30. Keep them short and sweet. But yeah, if you really knew me, I would encourage you, do that exercise. Credits of ALA. That's not mine. Let me just say that. It's not mine. I thought it was powerful though, so I figured I'd do it on here to get the podcast starting. But remember, by you being open and vulnerable with people around you, you're giving them permission to be open and vulnerable. And sometimes it's the big 6'2", fucking 250-pound black guy you have to hear who said he gets depressed and wants to kill himself sometimes. People don't expect to hear that coming out of my mouth. But they say, even him, he seems like he's got it together. Even he feels like that. Look how muscular he is. Look how good looking. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. But yeah, even me too, and you too, and your mom and your sister. When you start looking at it like that, like my mom might feel like that sometimes, Your mom might feel like that. Even though your mom and dad are superheroes, they might feel like that. I know to my son, I'm a superhero. He says, look, I'm going to be like daddy. Boom. And he flexes. He's like, Dad, I want to be just like daddy when I grow up. I'm a superhero to him. But, he sees me cry. And he hugs me. He says, Daddy, it's okay. I love you. It's going to be okay. So when he cries, I hug him and say, baby, it's going to be okay. He knows it's going to be okay. And I want to tell you it's going to be okay. You're doing good. Tom Papa has a whole comedy special. You're doing fine. You're a little fat. So what? You're doing good. You got a little belly. So what? You're doing the best you can. We're all trying to do the best we can. He's like, people are not eating bread. Eat bread. You're gonna die. Just kidding. Don't eat bread. No, gluten-free. Causes inflammation. But yeah, by being open, you give other people permission. And if you want to quote this, you can quote this. Taking responsibility for myself was the most spiritual step I've ever taken. Own your shit. Even things that happen to you, you can own the healing. You can own the story. And I think that's an example of what this podcast is a complete ownership of the story. I can never be canceled. Because I've already told myself how many times, there's nothing in the world that is not out there about me. There's details that are not out there. But okay, tell the details and I'll tell you, I was a piece of shit for a really long time. I was a real piece of dog shit. And look, I'm much better now. Look at what I do now. If you own your story, you own the narrative. No secrets. It feels amazing. It feels so good that I have no secrets on this planet. Not one. I have not one secret. Not one. So get somebody close to you that you know and tell the truth. And who knows, they may have a similar truth. All right. So if you're listening, thanks for listening. Mandy, we love you. Rate, subscribe, share. Go look on YouTube. Look at our YouTube page. We got great video. You know, Matt's in here killing it, steady flowing, steady on the podcast. One day we need to have Matt as a guest on the podcast. Would you do it? Yeah, we'll have Matt engineer and guest at the same time. Put a camera over by him. Yeah, we'll just have Matt on the podcast and just talk to him. Maybe we should just get a third camera and get you on the camera fully and get you like in the podcast. Who knows? You'd be down? Yeah, I think we should do it. We should like click back and forth, you know, do like real Joe Rogan shit. We're doing a fucking professional ass deal over here. Besides my dog click clacking her fucking tiny feet around here. Anyway, we're wrapping it up. I love you folks. I love doing this. I love doing this podcast. Someone asked me like, why do you do it? What do you see the vision for it? I just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. You know, just keep fucking doing it. And we're doing something cool. We're sharing. We're growing. We're doing it all out loud in front of people. So yeah, we'll wrap it up. I love you folks. Take care.